Welcome to another episode on Moose's Euro-spec E36 M3.
We are going to bolt the motor and trans together and slam it in the car.
In case you're wondering why we suddenly look 6 months older and we're not wearing shorts and Moose isn't covered in sweat yet, that's because we've decided to give you a little recap on Moose's Euro-spec M3, E36 M3, to kind of catch you up to where it's at before you watch these next two episodes. So in this episode, as you may have gleaned from the title, we're going to put the motor in the car, go for a rip and see if it falls apart, because he built a motor. And if you go back to Weekends with Moose series, you will see him do all that. I digress a little, and in the second episode of what we'll call a little two-part mini-series here, Moose does some more suspension upgrades.
And we see if we find some more time.
And we do find quite a bit more time, don't
Yes.
we? We go back to TMP and take it around the track and see how it compares to the lap times that we set with it the previous year. Before any more details on what you're about to see, why don't we give everyone who hasn't seen those episodes a little recap of the car, when you bought it, why you bought it, and how it got built up to this point.
Sure. Back in 2016, I was looking for a toy. I paid off my daily driver, and I kind of wanted something kind of cool and iconic. I mean, working with Connie kind of brought me to this. I kind of wanted a cool car like Connie. It kind of came down to, after a lot of research, I wanted an E36 M3, but I didn't want a North American one because they're kind of decontented. So I went looking for a Euro-spec one, and guess what? In Japan, they imported them in left-hand drive, and I was able to find one, and I ended up buying it, but not direct from Japan, through a friend of ours.
You got the car basically bone stock condition, right? It had like an upgraded sway bar. And
It had an upgraded sway bar, it had lowering springs on Bilsteins, and it had BBS rims, but with street tires, some Contis. So nothing spectacular, just pretty much just a solid car.
And we went to the track and tested it in basically stock configuration.
Yeah.
And it was not great. We did like a 130.3 or 4, something like that.
Yeah.
And there's episodes of all this if you want to go back and watch how this car's progressed.
Yeah.
The biggest sort of deficits we noticed at the time was A, it had massive brake fade. She's got no brakes! Because it was basically on stock brakes.
Yep.
And B, it had a lot of understeer. What the? All right.
Yep.
It was pretty pushy.
Yep.
So we decided to address those early on, didn't we?
Exactly. Well, I'm a big proponent of doing brakes, and their brakes are a big part of it. So I basically modified through a kit, put Porsche 911, 996 Brembo 4-pots, bolted them up with a set of E46 rotors.
Yeah.
Boom, that took care of my braking, matched with some Hawk pads, Hawk street races.
Race pad, yeah.
So that took care of the braking. Again, we found some more time, and it made the car much better to drive.
It did, yeah. I think we went like 2 seconds a lap faster.
Around that, yeah.
Got down into the 128.
Next major was coilovers. I wanted to have linear rate springs. I wanted to have more aggressive spring rates. So we put some BC Racing BR off-the-shelf coilovers on it.
Yeah.
Put them on. Went back to the track. Found a bunch more time.
2 more seconds.
2 more seconds.
Down into the 126s, which, you know, for an E36 M3 on coilovers and with some upgraded brakes, wasn't as fast as the car should be.
No.
And we did have people in the comment section saying, well,
why?
DP, why are you so slow in this car?
Yeah.
It felt like it was down on power a little.
Yeah. Vanos was the big problem with power, and we actually noticed that. What looked like a misshift in one of our later videos was actually Vanos completely dropping off.
Right.
So it probably lost 30-40 horse at the top end.
He has since rebuilt the Vanos, changed out the bearings, used some King bearings in there. So the motor's been totally refreshed, which brings us up to the point where we can jump back to Moose in a sweaty t-shirt and me in some oversized shorts, putting the motor back in the car. We'll start with the flywheel. This is obviously from the SPEC Clutch kit that we ordered up for you. It's a Stage 1 kit.
That is correct.
He didn't want to go crazy aggressive on the clutch. I guess he wanted to keep it very streetable.
Exactly, and the reality is the torque capability of the Stage 1 is more than enough from the power levels this car has.
Right, you're not going to boost it or anything crazy.
No, exactly.
Moose doesn't need more power. He's got all the power he needs right here, everyone. So the flywheel is obviously your classic aluminum design, which is remarkably light compared to the OE dual mass one, isn't it? What does that thing weigh?
26 pounds, roughly.
And this guy weighs like 11.2.
11.2 pounds approximately. I mean, that's on my bathroom scale, so.
That is a huge amount of weight savings. Let's move on to throwing these bolts into the crank using the supplied bolts from SPEC. These are not the OE bolts. Moose is throwing a bit of Loctite on there because why not? Flywheel bolt backing out is never a good idea. So
what's the torque spec on those bad boys?
102 Newton meters, which is about 75-ish foot-pounds.
All right, Moose, throw that organic Stage 1 clutch disc on there. It's gonna give you all the good feels. And as Moose knows now, the yellow mark on here goes with the yellow mark on there. How did we learn that lesson again, Moose?
Because Pete pointed it out to me after apparently I did not see that.
And
I mean, you put a good effort into marking the flywheel up here with your own mark.
I know, he put his own mark up here, and he still couldn't get it clocked properly.
Oh, yes.
Full call-outs happened.
Yeah.
Pete once again gets to flex his genius muscles.
Oh, that was pure genius. The yellow lines up with the yellow.
So you're putting some medium Loctite on these, and they get torqued to
25 Newton meters going to the SPEC, the manual.
okay. Humidex check, it's 41 now. Moose has lost 10 pounds in moisture.
Probably 43 based upon the sweat, so.
He is a good indicator of humidity, that's for sure. So as you guys saw, the transmission is in place, and you have yourself a pretty sweet shifter going in here, don't you?
Yeah, it's a Cooler Works Gen 1. I picked up used off Kijiji. It gets rid of the slop of the stock setup, which has a sort of banjo fitting and some rubber mounts, and the shifter sits loose relative to the motor. It's not really precise. This is actually hard mounted to the chassis and then connects basically straight up.
Except you've upgraded to this guy.
Yes.
Double shear.
Double shear. From the original single shears, they tend to, under load, they tend to deflect, so it's not particularly precise. So this is an Ireland engineering double shear shift connector. So it bolts up here, so it gives really, really solid connection between the shifter and the shift linkage. So again, better shift feel, better performance overall, and quite honestly, a little bit baller as well.
Yeah, I think it's mostly for the baller factor, because let's face it, Moose and shifter feel doesn't really go hand in hand, does it? He just smashes those gears. Anyway, speaking of reducing deflection, you've also sourced yourself some Hardrace hardened rubber engine mounts.
And transmission mounts.
Right.
So
this is, rather than a poly, this is actually a OE style rubber that's just a higher durometer.
Higher durometer, yeah. So you reduce the amount of twist to the motor, but without gaining a lot of noise and vibration you get with the traditional urethane mounts.
Right, and we should mention that we source these from Stage Four Motorsports. That's all spelled out, stage4motorsports.com. We'll put a link in the description for any of your hard race needs. That's where we source all our hard race stuff. All right, Moose, what do you say we move on to actually installing some things?
Yes, I'm going to install the accessories, the starter, the alternator, all the sort of stuff ready so we can just drop her into the chassis. All right, that happened quicker than we expected. The motor went in, bolted up really good. We got the drive shaft, we got the exhaust put in, all the under stuff. Basically, all the under stuff is more or less done. Next step is to do the plumbing, the hoses, lines, and all that stuff, get ready for first start. And I must say, unlike some other unnamed TV personalities, my hands get dirty.
Look at that, everybody. Moose has got a running motor in here. You've got it all plumbed up, wired up, and you actually fired it up, didn't you?
Yeah, got it started, did a pre-prime for oil pressure, got it started, it ran beautifully, happy moment. And next
now
step.
It's time to actually put a radiator in this, isn't it? And you've gone with CSF's fancy all aluminum rad.
Yep, I mean, we went this route for a couple of reasons. One, the B-tube technology allows for greater cooling efficiency. And it's all aluminum. The problem with most of the OE rads, they have plastic end tanks. They crack, they break. So I go to a better cooling system overall. Tied to that, I did a mechanical fan delete. The original mechanical fans are also a known failure point. So I deleted it, and I'm replacing it with a Mishimoto electric fan kit. that I sourced through Tune 14.
All right, well, let's get to work and get this thing radiatored up. Bam, just like that, just 6 months later, Moose has got his motor back in his car and it runs and drives.
It's great. It's running. It's running well. It's nice and smooth. No cells, no anything. It's good.
It didn't throw a rod through the block, so it seems like you may have actually done this job properly.
I hope so. We'll find out.
We will find out. And he has done
two other things.
Two other things.
Yes.
Wheels and tires?
Wheels and tires. No, and well, I call a third.
Okay.
Is I got rid of
the headlights.
The headlights,
yes.
the old ellipsoids.
Pete was chirping you so hard about
Thank
those
you,
headlights.
Moose.
For
the internet will appreciate you for doing that.
European spec black background.
Yeah, but now the corner lights clash.
I got those in order. They're not here yet,
All
so
right.
I'm gonna put some smokes in.
Well, what doesn't clash are these beautiful new Enkei PF01s in a 17 by 9?
17 by 8.5 ET40.
ET40.
It's an absolute perfect setup for square setups for E36s.
So 17 by 8.5 ET40 on a Toyo R888R in a 245?
245 4017.
All around.
Yeah. So it's a square setup. It fits perfectly. The nice thing is that for me the big thing is this.
Yeah,
caliper clearance over my Brembos. Before I was running a 10 mil spacer on all my rims, including my BBSs. Here I got 20+ mil of clearance.
So it's looking great. I mean, the offset on these are perfect on the car. It really gives the car the look that it's always needed. So yeah. I'm glad you went ahead and did that. So this is obviously a track setup, but it's still street legal.
Oh, for sure.
Which means we can go for a test drive on the street.
Yeah.
Right about now. Oh. Moose is power shifting here, everybody.
Yeah, baby.
We picked a bad time of day for a test drive, but really we just wanted to show you guys that she's running and driving and feeling lively.
Oh, very, very lively. I quite like it.
Moose is getting aggressive. We're in stop and go traffic here, and Moose is ripping Phaedos like a beast. I love it. Yeah, Moose is doing a U-turn here. He's gonna do a donut for you in the middle of. No, he's not. Oh, but he's gonna drive like a maniac. This is the bumpiest road in Hamilton, everyone. We apologize for that, but the suspension is getting an upgrade soon too, isn't it?
We are. We're gonna go do some tuning. Because last time we were at the track, we noticed that it was understeering a bit. And we want to see if we can tune that out. So,
right, so
coming up, we're going to have some fun.
We are going to have some fun. We're even going to do some brake pad tuning. So lots more to come on Moose's Euro-spec E36 M3, everyone, including maybe some DP ripping Vanos at the track. Certainly some Moose doing that. Yeah. We'll be having lots of fun with this car now that we're into the summer months and it's running and driving again. Moose, this is good.
It is, and it's running and driving really, really well. I'm so stoked. And particularly stoked on the tire and rim combo.
It looks amazing.
It looks amazing, and the Enkei rims are so good, so strong, and they do perfect fitment.
Yeah, that's spot on offset. Caliper clearance for days.
And they look awesome.
They do. So, and we will obviously talk more about the performance of these Toyo tires once we're at the racetrack, because it's really a track tire, isn't it?
It is.
We will set a proper hot lap in this thing. We only went maybe like 127s or something before, because we were on an old street tire. We had no Vanos. The car was just a long way from sorted. So we are going to get it sorted and get this thing turned in some proper hot laps this summer. Dancing on the edge. So thank you for watching, everyone. We appreciate it. Give Moose and his Euro-spec M3 a little love with the old thumbs up button. And if you're feeling extra generous, you can even hit the subscribe button or head over to Patreon, where you can throw us a few bucks to help pay Moose's track registration fee next time we're out in this hotted up Euro-spec M3.
Moose, look at my hands. They're pretty damn clean, and I did a bit of work.
Yeah, but you were wearing gloves.
That's true. But
no gloves, no love.
You have a knack, my man. Look at you. Wow, that is amazing. All right, well, let's get back to this. We still have lots to do.
Oh! Wow, that was a bad noise.
Okay, we won't include that in the video, Peter.